my friend, it's Pat Sloan here. I am all ready for Hometown Charms. What is Hometown Charms about? It is our Block Wednesday mystery, somewhat partial mystery. You get the layout, but you don't know the blocks until I give them to you each Wednesday. And the theme is the charming things about our hometown. So after today's, which is just kind of telling me about your hometown, wait a sec, each of the other themes will be something specific about hometowns that I'd like you to share while you are sharing your block. So let's put this down, and we're going to kick off with a pattern from Will You Be My Neighbor. Doesn't that sound perfect? Will You Be My Neighbor is a neighborhood quilt that Moda designed, and we're in the midst of me finishing mine, so that's so long's going. But I took block 1 from Will You Be My Neighbor to be the center of our hometown charms, because we need a house, and this house is lovely. It has enough place for you to pick a really nice fabric for the house. You've got great space for the windows if you wanted to do some fun fabrics in the windows, and of course you have to have a tree in your neighborhood. So let me go through first picking the fabrics for this guy and the thought process I had with using the packet that I'm working with. So let's take a look. The most exciting thing about a project is starting that first block for me. Getting the first block done, picking the fabrics which sort of set the tone for what the rest of the blocks will look like. Not always. Sometimes I totally change and might have to even go back and redo that first block. But generally, it's, when you're working with a set of fabric, you only have so many options, but there are options. And you could have seen, like when we had the last Wednesday quilt along, there were people who used the exact same fabric line I did, but they picked different sashings, they placed their fabrics in different places, and it looked entirely different. So today we are on the house as the center, and I want to show you the thoughts I had about what I could have picked so that you see where I ended up. So this fabric line is pretty tight in color. There are pinks. Whoops, there's like a whole set of pinks. There are creams, a little bit of sort of apricot, right? Well, maybe it's that persimmon, sort of orangey color. There's a little bit of taupe. These guys here, a little bit of taupe, which has got that gray tone to them. And then some more creams there, out of order, and green. Green, yellow, however you think of it. I think of it a little bit more, it's a really yellowy green, isn't it? Yeah, okay. Then I've got a whole set of greens, and I bought extra of the border, the tulip fabric, the dots, this pink, a little bit extra of this burgundy. So that way I would have some fabrics that I can repeat maybe a little bit more often. And this, of course, because I'm going to do some border with it, but that means I also have more of it to use. So that the quilt has this wonderful house, the block, and there isn't, like, these sections are all, what are they? The widest is going to be a 2-inch finished. So that means, like, I was thinking about the tulip, but what happens is with the tulip, and that doesn't mean I won't still use it, but it's something to think about, is if you have it only a 2-inch strip, take your ruler and put 2 inches on there. So that's more than 2, there's 2 inches. So when you're doing the house, the blocks will have strips, about the fold of this, about that wide, which is pretty cool. I do like that. I like it a lot. But if you are someone who, with a big print like that, you really don't care for it so chopped up, then you're going to look at other options. Maybe for the house, you want to use this guy with like this wheat kind of on it for a 2-inch strip, or maybe go ahead with the pink. There's plenty of pink that can be run all through the quilts with different blocks. You could go for maybe, this would be gorgeous for a sort of this green color house. Now the thing with this is there's a tree in this block, right? So we have the tree, and I've already decided that the tree should be green. Yes, imagine that. I'm not going to have a pink tree or something like that. So here's the green, and because I have all of these greens, I want to do each I want to do each of these levels as a different green. And these are actually a little bit more aqua. They're more aqua than green, but I don't want any of those shades for the house because I would like the house to be something different. And I really want it to be pink, or even it could be even these sort of orangey tone. But I think I want it pink because I have this bigger chunk of pink that I can use and more of this floral that I can use. So I want that tone of pink to be set in the first block. So this is for the tree. And I debated, like, should the trunk be this tan? The trunk could actually be this. But I think I'm going to have this in part of the roof, so I don't want to also have it in the trunk. So I'm probably just going to go, well, I could go like this. I could bring this in, this color in for the trunk. That might be good. What do you think? There's actually a stripe one, which is kind of neat. So the trunk could be that stripe one. Oh, I like that. I like that. Okay, so there's the tree. And I have, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 levels. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So that would be 6 levels here of the tree. Okay, so that would be good. So we're going to have the tree over there. And now for the house, I am going to go for it. I am going to go for the pink tulip. I think if you like something a little more tonal, then you want to get the pink running through it, use this pink. I am going to do the roof with the dark. So that means I'm set. This is the tree, this is the house. Now I have the windows, these great big windows, and those can be, I'm thinking maybe, see, how's that yellow look? Or maybe one of the taupes. This is fun because it has sort of that orangey in it, but I don't really want the orange right against that pink. That's not doing it for me. This is kind of neat, but again, it has that orange. So I am thinking it needs something else. Does it need the green in the windows? Or it's got the taupe over here. Now that's a big scale, but there's also a taupe. Where'd the dot go? There's a taupe dot that was just here. Here's a pink window. See, that doesn't work because it's going to be too washed out. I want that taupe dot, but I don't know where I put it. Ah, here it is. I think that's what it is. That's what I'm going to use. And then this will be the roof. So I'm going to go ahead and cut this up and we can see how it looks. I decided to be fairly intentional with cutting the tulip fabric for the house. So let me show you how I'm approaching that. So I'm starting with the fat quarter of this tulip fabric and not the bigger piece that I have. I will use up the fat quarter first before I move on to the bigger piece. So I decided to see, here's a bouquet, and I thought, well, how will that look if I just cut the house pieces from left, center, right, just from that bouquet. So they will be like this, with the windows inside here, and there will be, so I can sort of mock that up by just opening this fabric a bit. So there will be windows, but then there's also, yeah, so you can get a sort of a feel there. But then there's also horizontal. So now I'm like looking at that thinking, oh, those windows might be too wimpy. They might not be a strong enough color. Wonder what this green looks like. This greeny yellow stuff, which will bring out some of the green in the tulips. Oh yeah, that's better. Okay, we're gonna switch to that. We'll put that one over there. So now there's horizontals across the top and the bottom, and then between, because there's 4 windows, right? Top, bottom, and between. So I will actually cut those from a horizontal here, rather than, you know, cutting them from the vertical, sort of the vertical part of the image where the bouquet is, you know, is directional. I will cut them so that they are also directional, the horizontals. So I'll be cutting those from up here. So I'll do that now. So I have the 3.5 inch strip. I can start cutting the things that I need that are 3.5, which are these units here. And then I have 3 inch strips here on the tree trunk. I've got 2 3/4 here, 2 3/4 there. And even then I can decide whether I want to do this 2-inch strip or not. The only one I will have to cut a single then is this 4 by 3 3/4. So I would just cut a single block of that out of the, maybe out of the fat quarter rather than out of the yardage. But I cut this strip off of the yardage. Here is how the fat quarter of the pink tulips looks after cutting the house. So I did, these were the vertical and these were the horizontal I took from up here. And now I've got everything laid out, and it's a little hard to visualize like this. But one of the things I do notice is these windows are sort of light. What happens is often if you're looking at this, what color is popping towards you? These are popping towards you, aren't they? The white backgrounds, because they're not sewn in, they're not exact accurate size. I mean, these aren't even squares. They're going to be half square triangles on the trees, but the white is popping towards you. And if you can see this, actually this green is kind of lifting as well, but it's also very blendy. So what I want to do is make a stronger pop of color for that. So I took the pink that I'm going to have more of, and I cut from the fat quarter bundle. And these are a nice strong window. So you can really now see the window. And when this is sewn, you're going to have it's going to be a much stronger window. And I'll put the light ones over top of it after it's sewn up. But at this point, it is kind of hard to visualize because nothing is really tightened up for the exact size, and it just looks a bit of a mess. But that's the way it does. That's the way it happens as you're getting ready to sew. Now I will come back with the finished block. Now that you see it, in its sort of form just a minute ago where nothing was sewn, and back again where it's all sewn together, doesn't that really make a huge difference visually when you get it all buttoned up and sewn and you get the background so that the images are not sort of laying on top of each other? So your hometown charms. What I want you to do this week is when you share your block, first of all, if you want to personalize it, that would be awesome. If you want to put in, maybe embroider somewhere, the name of your home, the name of your town, if you have some unique fabrics that have to do with your town or your state or your country or your region, that would be cool to personalize it. If you applique, you could add something on here that's personal to your home. So that would be super fun to do. And tell me about your hometown, something about your hometown. So today all the ambassadors have written a little bit, just a sentence about their hometown, what it is and sort of something meaningful about it. And it could vary from something historical to something really personal. And that's all on my website today. I live in a town of Herndon in Virginia, up in the north. So my hometown, this is my hometown now. I've been here about 38 years. So I guess this is it. It just sort of happens like that sometimes, doesn't it? You get a place and all of a sudden you're there a long, long time. Okie doke. So this is your block that you're going to do. Now also today on the calendar I had pillow talk. So I don't know why I put these on the same day, but I did because maybe you won't get the block made today, but you could share a pillow. So what I want you to do is share a pillow that maybe you took one block from a sew along and made it into a pillow, like I did when we did the elephant quilt Stomping Ground by Wendy Shepherd. So I made one little Ellie elephant and made it into a pillow. I just have a flap, in the back, and I just love this. So I can just when I put out a lot of blue quilts, I put this pillow out as well. My quilt with all the elephants is in my bedroom, up above my bed. That's where I keep that one. Oh, I forgot to say, when you're making your block for the hometown, okay, so when you're making your neighborhood block and on every block after this one, keep all the little cutaways. Keep all of these and sew them up. So from this house block, I have all of these little half square triangles because I am going to incorporate them into my layout. On the layout, you'll see there are two strips. Well, there's actually 3 rows of stripes on this one, but I also give you directions on how to do those as squares. So you could be squares. And so what I'm going to do is incorporate these half square triangles into this sort of pavers, like the town, you know, the town road done in brick kind of thing. But I want to incorporate all these little half square triangles that we make during the whole process of making hometown charms. So I will be cutting them down either to the size of that square, or if they're smaller, also like 4 of them together and then trim that one down. So I will show you that in another day, you know, maybe week 2, week 3, something like that. But don't throw them away, sew them up and keep them until we talk about them a little bit more. Okay, so I have a fun thing for starting today through next Wednesday is the Aliso iron people. Yes, I love this iron so much. They are giving you a 15% discount on the regular size iron. So if you've been wanting a regular size iron, you can use PAT15. The link is below and at my website today, and you can get yourself a iron. I like the pink one. They have, and there's slightly different options on the other colors. They have a new sole plate, which is ceramic, and I really like it. I really like the sole plate. So that is one thing on the pink one that's out there. Okay, also another thing not to forget is if you wanted to get in on the spooky box, you can go put in your reserve. That's also linked below and at my website. I don't want you to miss out if you wanted to get this one. I'm sort of itching to sew it. I might have to sew a block up soon because they sent me an advanced one so I could mess around with it, but I haven't had a chance yet. I will get to it. Okay, and the last thing I want to remind you of is the Quilt Alliance. I have done the interview panel, the panel interview, which was so much fun. It was really interesting and very rewarding to be asked to sit on the panel and talk about my creative business with other creative business owners. But there are other panel things. I have a link below and on my website, but there's 3 core days, and then you can add on, I think, on either end to that. So the core days are like the 15th, 16th, 17th of this month of September, and then you can add on if you want to other things. But the videos will be available if you can't make it live. And like for mine, it's on the 17th. I believe it's in the afternoon is my panel runs, and at the end of the panel there will be a live Q&A. So if you're there for the live part, you can submit a question and then we will hopefully answer it. So that's pretty fun. So I hope that you will take advantage of that if you're interested. They're great topics. They're interesting, you know, sort of not your normal everyday topics, and I really like that part. I think it's pretty fun to learn other things that go on within the realm of quilting. Okay, I am going to talk about this another day, but it's still up on my wall, and I have sewn that row and this row, and I'm contemplating the middle there. That's why it sort of hasn't moved any, because I'm sort of thinking of doing a little bit something different on the middle. So I will probably have that for another video this week. Okay, my friend, hometown charm. Your hometown charms. Tell me about your hometown. Tell me something interesting, fun, historical, unique. We are so excited to be doing this one. We, the royal we, all of us. I love you. Mwah. Thank you for being here in the Sloan Zone. I will see you online.